What's up everyone? So we've got a moth trap to go through and it's already looking really exciting because I have yet another new moth. So this one, unfortunately I did actually damage it trying to catch it, only because I recognised it, jumped up excitedly from my seat and went around racing it around the garden like a lunatic. This is Manchester treblebar. And in the UK, it is actually a nationally scarce moth. You don't really get it away from wet bogs, moorland, upland mosses, things like that. The larvae will feed on cranberry, bilberry and other heathland plants. And there's no heathland anywhere near my garden. And in the county of North Yorkshire, it is actually very localised in the west. And it's exciting getting it in my garden. It is a big rarity. Unfortunately it is damaged, but still very exciting stuff. So I did actually have another moth. This is blue bordered carpet. Not quite as exciting maybe. It's a fairly widespread moth, although it occurs at very low density throughout the UK. The larvae feed on alder and blackthorn, and the main habitat is alder stands, damp habitat, marshy ground, sometimes gardens and woodland as well. But it's another nice one. I do get it fairly regularly in my garden. It's not that big of a rarity, even though it is fairly scarce throughout the rest of Yorkshire. But it is another nice one. Anyway, I'm really chuffed about that Manchester treblebar. That's a really nice moth. Anyway, let's get into the trap, see what we've got. Okay, we've got another nice moth here, ready to fly away. This is the Herald, and the Herald gets its name because it's usually one of the first moths to herald the spring after its winter hibernation. Let me just unscrew the lid here. There we go. Take a look at him. Beautiful moth. So after its hibernation, it does fly March to June, and the generation actually emerges before hibernation in August. However, in warm years and in southern England, it can emerge from July, and there can sometimes be a second generation that emerges from September and then hibernates. So, however many generations there are, it always overwinters as an adult. The larvae feed on poplars, including aspen and willows as well, and it's found in a variety of habitats such as woodland, woodland rides, parks, gardens, areas like that, and it is a lovely moth to get. It does feed at flowers and fruits after dark, but also comes to light as well. So that's another lovely moth. Okay, we've got the forever gorgeous poplar hawk moth here. Always a joy to get any hawk moth. The poplar hawk moth is probably the most widespread throughout the UK, although in many areas it's not the commonest, as the elephant hawk moth can be extremely abundant, and I actually haven't had many poplar hawk moths this year. But it's a lovely moth. It has 2 generations a year, usually first generation from May to July, second from August to September, usually in the south, but in warm years can be throughout the UK. From this one's state, which is very fresh, looks very pristine, I'd say it is an early second generation moth. It has been a warm year this year, and many moths are at least 2 weeks ahead. I've already been catching some moths which are a sign of autumn. So yeah, I'd say this is a second generation poplar hawk moth, and he's a lovely chappy. Okay, so this next moth is Bullrush wainscot, and it's a moth that is widespread throughout most of the UK, including Scotland, and it's found in a variety of damp habitats where its food plant grows, whether that be marshes, edges of lakes, edges of ponds. However, the females especially do wander quite far from breeding sites, so the females can turn up at light if you trap in your garden, even if you are a fair few miles from the nearest pond or marsh or damp habitat, and therefore this moth can really well colonise new areas very quickly. The females wander, often fertile with eggs, and when they get to even the smaller stand of food plant, they will colonise it, so it does turn up in places. But this is Bullrush wainscot, which is a nice moth. Okay, so this is Pebble Prominent. It is one that I featured a few times before on the channel, but it's a lovely moth. I love all of the prominents. The prominents the Prominent family holds some of my favourite moths. I really do, and the Pebble Prominent is no exception. Really, really furry moth, nicely patterned, nice colours. The Pebble Prominent has 2 generations a year in much of England, from April to June and then again July to September. However, in the far north and in Scotland there's usually only 1 generation a year from June to July. However, in warm years, usually there's 2 generations all throughout the UK. The moth has caterpillars that eat poplars, including aspens, sallows and willows, and as a result is found in a variety of habitats wherever those food plants grow. Okay, so the Pebble Prominent, which is now resting on a branch just up here, has now been joined by some family, some swallow prominents. Another gorgeously patterned prominent moth, really beautiful. Also has if I can get my words out, sorry. Also has 2 generations a year, from April to June, and then again from July to September. So much like the Pebble Prominent. Gorgeous moth, and as you can see, fairly common, fairly widespread throughout much of the UK. Really nice moths. Okay, we have the very angelic looking white satin moth. And this moth is fairly local in England. It's been recorded in much of England. It can be fairly common. I don't think there's many records from Scotland, if any at all. The larvae do feed on poplars and willows, so it is found in a variety of habitats, just not throughout the UK like some of the moths. But it is a lovely moth. It does occur fairly regularly here and down south as well. But it's a lovely moth. Look at those stripy legs. Awesome. Okay, so this next one is probably the moth we'll finish on. Don't quote me on that just yet. There might be another one, but looks like this might be the last one I want to talk about. And it is this beauty. This is Magpie. Clear to see why. Black and white with a yellow band running through the middle of the wings. A yellow body, yellow thorax, and yellow at the base of the wings as well. Beautiful, beautiful moth. This used to be a very common moth throughout the UK. It still is in many parts, but it has declined a lot. One of those reasons could be because of the use of pesticides on two of the caterpillar's main food plants, which are gooseberry and currants, grown in gardens. But it does eat blackthorn, hawthorn, many other garden plants as well, and so it is found again in a variety of habitats. On the moors of Scotland, where it does seem to be most abundant in the UK, the larvae feed on heather, and the magpie flies up in its hundreds during the day in Scotland. But throughout the rest of England, it's fairly common, although does not occur in huge numbers. So it is always a pleasure to get in the trap, and always lucky to film one without it flying away. They do tend to be very flighty, so probably... Actually, he's not flying away. They do play dead, actually. There he is. So don't worry, he's fine. He's just playing dead. But they're a beautiful, beautiful moth. Do not be concerned. I have not killed a moth. They just like to play dead. So, yeah. That's looking like it will pretty much be it for today's moth trap. Anyway, you lot are probably getting bored of all these moth traps. I can stop doing them if you want, you know. I'm only joking, of course. I'll never stop doing moth traps. So sorry to those of you who are actually bored, which I hope none of you are. But I will always do moth traps. Caught some good stuff today, and I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, give it a thumbs up, subscribe if you're new to the channel, and we'll see you on the next one. Bye.